I'm Ethan, a 40-year-old engineer. For many years, I have been working for a multinational company, often traveling for projects. I have been married to my wife, Isabella, for 10 years, and although we have no children, I have always considered our marriage to be happy and stable. However, the day I finished an important project and came home early, everything changed. It was a Friday afternoon and I had just finished a 2-week business trip. The project was going well, and we had finished all the work a few days earlier than expected. I decided to surprise Isabella by coming home early to spend the weekend with her. When I opened the door, the house was quiet. Isabella's car was parked in the garage, but she didn't seem to be home. I went into the bedroom to unpack and change into something more comfortable. It was then that I noticed some unusual details. On the bedside table was a cell phone I had never seen before. It didn't belong to me, and I was sure it didn't belong to Isabella either. I picked up the phone, and there were several unread messages on the screen. My heart suddenly clenched and a sense of foreboding came to mind. I looked around and realized that the closet door was not completely closed. I walked over, opened the closet, and found several pieces of men's clothing that clearly didn't belong to me. They were clothes that I had never bought before, and they didn't fit my size or style. My hands began to shake as I held the clothes, my mind reeling. I sat on the edge of my bed, trying to clear my head. I picked up the unfamiliar cell phone and, after a moment's hesitation, decided to check the messages. As I read each message, my heart sank deeper and deeper. The messages were cryptic, but they were indicative of Isabella's intimate relationship with another man. I felt a wave of dizziness, and my fingers were cold as I gripped the phone. I couldn't believe it was true. Our marriage, our promises, were they all lies? How could Isabella, the woman I'd loved for so many years and vowed to spend my life with, betray our relationship like this? Countless questions flashed through my mind, but I couldn't find the answers. Shock, anger, sadness, all these emotions were intertwined and almost engulfed me. I didn't know how to face what was coming. All I knew was that our marriage, my life, had completely changed at this moment. That afternoon, I sat in my bedroom for a long time until the sky outside the window grew dark. Isabella hadn't come home yet, and I had lost the courage to wait patiently. I packed a few clothes and necessities and left the home I had once considered a happy harbor. After leaving home, I drove to a small hotel on the outskirts of town. I didn't want to face anyone. I just wanted to be alone and think. In this strange room, I tossed and turned, my mind flashing back to the past. I tried to find out why Isabella was cheating on me. Was there a crack in our marriage? Was I too oblivious to her feelings? Or were there red flags that I didn't recognize? Looking back, I did travel a lot over the years, sometimes for weeks or even months on a single project, and Isabella was always very supportive of my work and never complained about my absence. I thought our relationship was so strong that it would never waver even when we were away from each other. But in hindsight, did I overestimate our trust and understanding? We've been married for 10 years, but we've never really discussed having children. I always felt that my career was not yet successful and my financial foundation was not stable enough. So I wanted to wait until everything was ready to have children. Isabella did not seem to have a problem with this, but in retrospect, was I ignoring her heart's true desire? At one time, Isabella had her own dreams and pursuits. But after she married me, she focused more on her family, and gradually, I seldom heard her talk about her dreams. Have I inadvertently stifled her personal space and self-realization? There are many other details that seem trivial at the time, but in retrospect, they may all hint at our problems. Isabella once complained that I wasn't romantic enough and didn't pay enough attention to anniversaries and holidays. Our communication seemed to be getting less and less, and we were often busy with our own lives and couldn't talk to each other when we got home. And even in bed, our passion faded and lovemaking became a routine. I kept asking myself, was it all my fault? Was it because I ignored Isabella's feelings that I pushed her into the arms of another man? Guilt, self-blame, anger, all kinds of emotions are intertwined in my heart. I feel more confused and helpless than ever. Outside the window, the night was getting deeper and deeper, but my thoughts were getting more and more confused. I knew that I had to calm down and objectively analyze the problems in our marriage. But right now, I can't find a single ray of light in my heart, just like this dark night. I needed help, someone to guide me out of this dark abyss. After a night of tossing and turning, I realized that I could not face this situation alone. I needed someone to talk to, someone to give me advice and support. I decided to go to my brother Liam. Liam has always been the closest and most trustworthy person to me. He is 2 years older than me. He is not only my elder brother, but also my best friend and life coach. He is 2 years older than me and is not only my older brother, but also my best friend and life coach. Liam has more experience than me and his marriage has had its ups and downs, but in the end, he and his wife overcame the difficulties and built a strong relationship. I'm sure he can give me some guidance. I came to Liam's house and told him everything that had happened in the past 2 days, and Liam listened to me quietly without interrupting or judging. He poured me a cup of hot tea and gently patted my shoulder. At that moment, I felt I was no longer alone. Liam told me that marriage is never easy. Even for couples with the best of relationships, misunderstandings and conflicts are inevitable. The key is to learn to communicate, to think differently, to be tolerant, and to forgive. He suggested that I calm down and try to think from Isabella's point of view, instead of just blaming and resenting. Liam also said that although Isabella's cheating hurt me, it didn't mean that our marriage was necessarily irreparable. If we still have the emotional foundation, if we are willing to work hard, maybe there is still a possibility of repair. But the premise is, I have to calm myself first, ready to face Isabella, to listen to her ideas. For the next few days, I stayed at Liam's house. During the day, I went for a walk in a nearby park to try to clear my mind. In the evening, I talked to Liam late into the night, and he shared his experience and gave me a lot of valuable advice. Gradually, my mood began to calm down and my mind began to return. Liam's companionship has been incredibly warm and touching. His support gave me the courage to face reality. I knew that no matter how hard the road ahead was, I was no longer fighting alone. With Liam by my side, I feel stronger and clearer. Perhaps, as Liam had said, there was a chance that my marriage to Isabella could be saved. But first, I need to find the courage to face Isabella and find out the truth. Only when I face the truth could I really begin to repair our relationship or make a final decision. After a few days at Liam's, I felt it was time to confront Isabella. I sent her a message telling her we needed to talk. She agreed, and we met at a cafe. That afternoon, I arrived early at the cafe and chose a corner seat. Isabella arrived, and we ordered coffee in silence. I decided to go straight to the point and ask her about the man. At first, Isabella tried to deny and evade. She said the clothes and cell phone could have been misplaced by a friend, and the message could have been a misunderstanding. But her behavior was clearly unnatural, and her eyes were averted. I knew she was lying. I took out the cell phone, flipped to those ambiguous messages, and read them out one by one. I miss you so much on Friday night. Let's meet at the usual place. Last night with you was really good. I can't wait to see you again. And then there were the more explicit ones, which I couldn't even bear to read. Isabella's face turned white when she heard this. I told her that I had gotten someone to look into the number and found out that it was a man named David. I asked her what her relationship with David was and why she betrayed our marriage. Faced with the overwhelming evidence, Isabella could no longer deny it. She broke down in tears and admitted that she and David were indeed having an affair, which had been going on for months. She said she felt lonely and neglected, and that David gave her attention and stimulation. But she also said she felt very guilty and regretful about the affair. Isabella kept apologizing, saying she didn't know what was wrong with her, that she still loved me and didn't want to lose me. She begged me to forgive her and give her a chance to make amends. She promised to break off all contact with David immediately and to do everything she could to repair our marriage. But at this point, it was hard for me to accept her apologies and promises. The content of those messages kept replaying in my mind, piercing my nerves. I felt unspeakably hurt and angry, and the trust between us had been completely shattered. I asked her why she wanted to hurt me like this, why she wanted to destroy our marriage. Were our vows so worthless to her? Facing my questioning, Isabella cried even more. She kept saying she was sorry, that she really regretted and didn't want to lose me, but I couldn't listen to her anymore. Her tears and pleas seemed so hypocritical and harsh to me. I told Isabella that I needed time to calm down and think. I couldn't give her an answer as to whether or not our marriage would continue. I asked her to move out of our house immediately, and I didn't want to see her until I had made a decision. Isabella cried and nodded, saying sorry again and again. But my heart was already cold. I stood up, threw down a few bills, and walked out of the cafe without looking back. I felt that our once beautiful marriage had been shattered just like this. But the truth had come out, and I didn't have to live in lies and deception anymore. Next, I had to make a difficult decision about whether or not to give this marriage a chance. When I came back from the cafe, I felt an emptiness inside. The good memories of the past seemed so ironic and false now. I couldn't believe that our marriage had come to an end. For the next few days, I was in a state of extreme disappointment and hurt. I felt betrayed and that my love and dedication had become a joke. I kept thinking back to our past little by little and kept questioning myself why it had turned out like this. I knew that I needed professional help to get out of this mess. I contacted a divorce attorney for advice on the legal aspects of divorce. The attorney told me that according to our prenuptial agreement, most of our property was separate. Our community property consists primarily of a property with a market value of approximately $1.5 million, 2 automobiles with a total value of approximately $100,000, and approximately $500,000 in joint savings and investments. The lawyer advised me that if I decided to divorce, we could try to divide the property by negotiation. If we could not reach an agreement, then we would need to resort to legal proceedings, and a judge would decide on the division of property. This could be a long and painful process. In addition to the legal issues, I also realized that I needed to deal with my emotional trauma. I started seeing a counselor, Sharon. With Sharon's help, I gradually began to face my feelings instead of avoiding and suppressing them. Sharon made me realize that Isabella's cheating didn't make me a failure as a husband. Everyone has to take responsibility for their own choices, and Isabella chose to cheat, which was her fault, not mine. And Sharon encouraged me to learn to let go and live for my own happiness instead of being bound by past hurts. After weeks of deliberation, I finally made the decision to divorce. It wasn't an easy decision. I thought we would stay together until we grew old. But Isabella's infidelity changed everything. I knew that I could no longer trust her and spend the rest of my life with her. I informed Isabella of my decision. She cried and asked me to give her another chance, but my mind was made up. We started preparing for the divorce. Our lawyers started negotiating the division of property. After several rounds of discussions, we finally reached an agreement. I got the ownership of the property and 60% of the joint savings and investments, and Isabella got the 2 cars and 40% of the joint savings and investments. Although the divorce settlement was more favorable to me, I didn't feel the slightest bit of pleasure. I knew that this was just the beginning of a sad story. The love we had, the memories we shared, would all end with this agreement. But I also realized that this was a step I had to take. For my own sake, for the sake of my future, I have to face the reality bravely and start a new chapter in my life. The day I signed the divorce papers, I saw Isabella's red, swollen eyes and my heart ached. But I knew we couldn't go back. We both needed time to heal, to re-examine our lives. The decision to divorce had been made, but my emotional world was still full of struggles and confusion. At times, I feel a strong sense of anger and betrayal. Whenever I see the things Isabella left behind or think of her with that man, I feel a suffocating pain. I couldn't believe that the person I had trusted and loved so much would cheat me so cruelly. This sense of betrayal made me have deep doubts about love and marriage. But at the same time, I get nostalgic from time to time. I think about how sweet we were when we first met, how much fun we had when we traveled together, and how we envisioned our future. These beautiful memories constantly remind me of how much we loved each other and how happy we were in our marriage. Every time, I feel a deep sense of loss and sadness. My moods have become very unstable. Sometimes I would lose my temper and have negative feelings about everyone and everything around me. Other times I would lie in bed depressed and not want to go out or see anyone for days at a time. I knew that I had to learn to deal with these emotions, or they would consume me. With Sharon's help, I started to try some emotional management techniques. For example, whenever I felt a sense of anger or betrayal, I would try to take a deep breath, calm down, and write down my feelings. I would try to analyze these feelings objectively, understand where they came from, but not let them control my behavior. Sharon taught me that it is normal to feel anger, but we cannot let it dictate our lives. For nostalgia and loss, Sharon suggested I try distraction. When the good memories come flooding back, I immediately do something else, such as go for a run, watch a movie, or hang out with friends. I've also started to learn to appreciate the present and be grateful for the good things I still have in my life instead of dwelling on the past that I've lost. Sharon also encouraged me to communicate with others and not to close myself off. At first, I resisted sharing my pain with others because I felt ashamed and inferior. Gradually, I began to talk to Liam and other close friends. Their support and understanding gave me great comfort and made me feel that I was not alone. Slowly, with Sharon's help, I began to learn to accept my emotions instead of avoiding or suppressing them. I realized that anger, feelings of betrayal, nostalgia, and loss were all normal reactions to my trauma. They were part of my soul, and I needed to learn to live with them rather than try to eliminate them. At the same time, I began to think about the future. I didn't want to be in pain forever. I wanted to start over and find new meaning in my life. I started to try some new hobbies, got back into work, and started learning some new skills. I know that the road ahead will not be easy, but I am determined to work hard for my own happiness. Although the pain in my heart is still not completely healed, I feel that I am getting out of the darkness step by step. Perhaps, going through these trials and tribulations is a test and a chance for me to grow up. With Sharon's help, I began to gradually work my way out of my emotional quagmire. I continued to meet Sharon regularly to discuss my feelings and future plans. Gradually, I began to realize that although the breakdown of my marriage had caused me great pain, it had also given me an opportunity to re-examine and plan my life. With Sharon's encouragement, I began to make plans for my new life. First, I decided to give myself a new challenge in my career. I enrolled in a 3-month advanced engineer training program to enhance my professional skills and prepare for my future career. The program was intense and rigorous, but every time I completed a problem or learned a new skill, I felt a sense of accomplishment and self-confidence that I hadn't felt in a long time. In addition to my work, I also started to develop my personal interests again. I signed up for a photography club and started learning how to capture life's beautiful moments with my camera. Every weekend, I would go with the club members to different places, from the streets of the city to the fields of the countryside. Through the lens, I rediscovered the colors and meaning of life and made many new friends with the same interests. I also restarted my fitness habit. Every morning, I would go to the park and run for half an hour. As my body became healthier and healthier, my mood also became more and more positive and optimistic. I began to realize that only by loving myself and treating myself well can I truly have a happy and joyful life. In order to enrich my spare time, I joined a volunteer organization and visited the children in the orphanage every week. Spending time with these innocent children gave me a sense of pure joy and satisfaction. Their smiles made me realize that there are still many things in life that are worth cherishing and pursuing, and that I should not let the pain of the past hinder my hope for the future. With Sharon's advice, I also started to keep a diary to record my daily feelings and thoughts. Through writing, I began to recognize myself more clearly and understand my emotions and needs. I began to learn to reconcile with myself, accept my imperfections, and set new goals and directions for myself. Gradually, I realized that I was changing. Though the wounds in my heart have not yet fully healed, I have rediscovered the meaning and motivation of life. Friends, I have shared my story with you today in the hope that my experience will give some insight and encouragement to those who are going through a marital crisis or emotional trauma. I know that in the face of betrayal and hurt, everyone will feel pain and confusion. But I would like to say, don't give up hope and don't let the pain define your life. Seeking help and sharing with others is the first step in getting out of a difficult situation. Don't try to bear everything alone, because we all need support and understanding. At the same time, learn to take care of and love yourself, because only we are the masters of our own lives. On the road of life, if you fall down, get up again. Every setback is an opportunity for us to grow and learn. Believe in yourself, believe in the future, and bravely pursue your happiness and dreams. Remember, no matter what happened in the past, we have the power to create a better future. As long as we have hope and keep moving forward, we will surely find our own piece of clear sky. In conclusion, I would like to say that everyone's life is unique, so don't hold yourself to other people's standards. Believe in your own choices and listen to your inner voice, because only we are the best directors of our own lives. I wish you all the best of luck, and I hope you can get out of the haze, embrace the sunshine, and find your own happiness and meaning. Remember, you are not alone. No matter when and where, there is always someone willing to listen to you, support you, love you. Thank you all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to today's story. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have a story to share about your own or someone else's experience, please feel free to contact me. Take care.